Now, if you cast your mind back just about 2 weeks ago, Eason's launched The Search as part of their 125th anniversary celebrations. They compiled a list of the top 125 books over the years that people have been buying in Eason's and loving. And they've invited the public to cast their vote to crown the nation's favourite book of all time in association with this show. Paul Harrod's Ross O'Carroll Kelly, The Oh My God Delusion, has made the list, put things mildly. And Paul joins us now. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning, Tom.
How are you?
I'm very well. I'm very well.
Ireland view for reasons like that. Explain.
But it's a great... It's a great idea, and it's a wonderful idea for a promotion, you know, to get people thinking about books around Christmas.
Which books have you read? Tell me a few of them now.
I mean, I was trying to even pick a favourite out this morning, but I mean, The Life of Pi by Jan Martel is just a wonderful
That was the story
book.
of the man or the boy sharing a boat with a tiger.
With a tiger and an orangutan.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Absolutely. Brilliant.
How can you sustain that idea?
Yeah.
For and it's gripping, every single page. Let the Great World Spin by Colin McCann.
Haven't read that.
It's just a masterpiece of a book. You know, I absolutely loved that book. Wow, I mean, Breakfast at Tiffany's. Some of them sort of going back to school. You know, when you books I read when I was at school, like Lord of the Flies, you know, and so the list sort of has everything. You know, there's old classics like, as I said, Ulysses, Picture of Dorian Gray. There's Kidnapped, Lord of the Flies. Children's classics like the BFG, Roald Dahl, and there's a lot of Irish award winners in there.
Have you read One Day, as a matter of interest?
No, I haven't.
One Day was brilliant. I loved every moment of One Day.
Well, that's my Christmas book then. Really?
I cried at the end of it. There's a few books in here that I've cried at.
Okay.
Birdsong as well. I cried like...
It's my father's favourite book of all time is... Sebastian Falk's Birdsong.
Yeah, Birdsong. I read that on holiday. Do you know the story of it at all?
No.
One thing that's really powerful about it is it goes back and forth in time, which I find very powerful, because if you trace the feelings and the emotions people have in their late teens, early 20s, and then revisit those people in their 60s and 70s to see where that went in their lives. Yeah. It's very powerful.
Yeah.
It does a lot of that.
Yeah. My dad often asks me, have you read Birdsong?
This is your dad who's in prison at the moment, isn't it?
My real father, can I just say?
All right.
Because that might
He's
be actionable.
not your real father, no.
Charles O'Carroll Kelly. Well, my real father is at home listening to this on the radio, I think. But Charles O'Carroll Kelly has been in prison.
Yes.
Now, he was in
Is he
prison
out at
for
the
a
moment?
crime
What's the
he
state
didn't
of
for something he didn't do,
right,
which was pay his tax. But he is out at the moment, and the Oh My God Delusion, which, as you said, is on the list. In that book, Charles is running. He sets up a paper shredding company, and the idea is that he's helping people get rid of the dirty little secrets of the Celtic Tiger. And so it's called Shred F King Everything. I don't need to spell it out.
No, you don't. It must be great though to see your name on the list.
It is.
125 books.
It is. It is a great thing. I think these lists, they tend to be a sort of snapshot of how people are feeling at a particular time, a moment in time. You know, when they do the 100 greatest albums, ever exclamation mark in Q magazine or something, you know. If they did it 5 years ago, I remember they did it, and there were like 4 Radiohead albums in the top 5 or something, you know. So they do tend to sort of reflect. What I love about this list is that it sort of encompasses everything, you know. Absolutely everything is in it over the last sort of, century, I think.
That's one of the things I love as well. They have books that would have been a popular vote 125 years ago.
Yeah.
Isn't that incredible?
Kidnapped,
I think.
Absolutely. And I think if they do this again, you know, when Eason's is celebrating its 250th anniversary,
indeed.
Kidnap will probably be still on it. Yeah, I don't expect the Oh My God Delusion will be on it, but Ulysses will certainly be on it.
It must be
Portrait of an Artist.
Seeing your name is great, but how did Ross become such a huge phenomenon? I mean, is it 10 books now?
Yeah, it's 12. It's 12 books now. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it was just one of those things that sort of captured the spirit of the times, I think. You know, it was the early days of the Celtic Tiger, and I remember, you know, one of the earliest lines that I wrote in any of the columns was about the bank writing to Ross, telling him he'd been approved for a £20,000 loan, as it was at the time, that he hadn't that he hadn't applied for, and it's probably the proudest that I am of any line I've ever written. Really? That because I must have saw that back in 1998 and thought, well, that's a bit odd that the banks are approving you for loans that you weren't even looking for, and so I think during that period there was a lot of there was a lot of silliness going on, and sort of Ross, I think, became kind of the poster boy for a certain feckless lifestyle.
Yes.
And then I suppose with the Oh My God delusion, which is 2 years old now, I suppose it came to a point where I kind of realised that because everything had changed, that world that Ross once inhabited didn't exist anymore, and I had to kind of reinvent him and reinvent all of the characters in his world. So his mother, who like Fionnuala, was she had this show on RTE called Foch Cooking, Fionnuala O'Carroll Kelly Cooking, and RTE came to her and told her that she would have to, she would have to start cooking meals that better reflected the current economic climate.
Right.
So she, on her show, like one of the centerpieces of the show one day was that she was showing people how to use a tin opener, for instance.
Right.
So the humour, I suppose the humour is kind of changed in that way, as Ross and his friends are looking at their world unravel and trying to make sense of it, really.
It must be an amazing experience to create somebody, a character like that, who you then inhabit or populate their lives with characters, with a father, with a mother.
Yeah.
You have this universe in your life, and that it itself is changing your life.
Yeah.
It's taking you along with it. It's a Harry Potter thing, isn't it?
It is. It is a nice thing, and when people come to you and they say, I really, really laughed at this line you wrote, that's a really, really nice thing, to hear that. And I'm very attached to all of the characters as well. Today I'm going to finish the next Ross book, which won't be out until
How do you know? What if you go home and you have it won't come to you?
Because it's the epilogue and it's about 300 words. So this is
you feel you can do that.
It's the last day of the Tour de France for me. All
right, okay.
It's the ceremonial
lap coast over the line
up the Champs Elysees. But so I'll finish that day, and I just realise as I'm because when I'm writing a book, I spend about 3 or 4 months and I work on it really intensely. I do about 10 hours a day, and I think as I'm writing, I think, God, I hate this character. God, I hate that character. And coming towards the end, I realize, God, I'm really attached to the dad, the mum,
how incredible,
Ross, all of his friends. How
incredible. Well, we're texting saying, since I've arrived in Ireland in 2001, I've read every single one of Paul's books in order to learn about this strange country. Far from fiction, I think they're the most honest thing that's come out in the last 10 years. Historical documents, says Lisa.
Well, maybe.
No end in sight for him.
Well, not really. I mean, I tend to take it from book to book, and I suppose about 3 or 4 years ago, before I wrote the Oh My God delusion, I kind of did feel, well, where's he going next, and I kind of feel around that time it took on a new momentum, if you like. I find this is the most interesting period in Ross's life now, because him and his friends, they all left school. They were played on the senior cup team, so they never really saw any need to do any studying or anything in school. So they all left school without their leaving cert or anything, So now they're sort of cast adrift in a world where all the old certainties are gone. There are no jobs that are guaranteed because he could kick a good 3-pointer at school. He's not guaranteed anything in life. All of their fathers, a lot of them would have sort of lived off their old man's money. I'm doing an MDP, managing daddy's business. That's all gone as well, because the daddy's businesses are sort of slipping away. So it's Ross and his friends they're having to live increasingly on their own wits, and their own half-wits, So it is. I think it's the most interesting time, So I tend to go from book to book, and if I'm still enjoying it and people are still laughing and still buying the books, I don't.
He's changed your life, hasn't he? I mean, you were an award-winning sports writer.
Yeah. I used to, because sometimes I see myself described as a novelist, and I balk a little bit because I never really wanted to be a novelist. I always, from the time I was about 11 years of age, all I wanted to be was a sports writer.
Right.
And I just got so busy writing the books that I didn't really have that much time. So I said, I'll take a sabbatical from. So it's getting to the point now where my sort of career writing Ross is actually it's longer than my career as a sports writer. So I'm on at the moment I'm on an 8-year sabbatical.
Great. Long may it continue,
So,
you have to say.
I hope so, yeah.
Well, the books are all online. If you go to newstalk.ie, it'll take you to the website and you can vote. You can win all 125 books.
I would love all 125 books.
We have them outside in boxes. Easton sent them in. They're under lock and key.
Yeah.
There's been several attempts to get their hands on them from people here. They're gorgeous.
This list, it's just every book that's probably on your to-read list for the next 10 years. That's what I love about it, you know.
Trying to get the time for it. www.eastons.com book poll as well, if you want to go that way. But listen, we were talking about stories. You have a story. You were away somewhere.
Oh, I did, yeah. I was in Quito in Ecuador. My father and I, we were going to the Galapagos Islands, and I saw a man walking down the street, and I knew him. And I just knew him so well that it was almost like he was a blood relative or something, you know. But I couldn't get a context for him. I just couldn't get my head around where I knew him, and it kind of ruined it for me, because for about 3 days I just found myself staring to space for hours and hours, just trying to think who this guy was. Turned out he was the man who worked at Pierce Street Dart Station, and every day for about 15 years he had collected my ticket before they had the automated machines that you put your ticket into. Yeah. He had collected my ticket and just checked that I hadn't been on a couple of stops longer than I should have been. And somebody like that just accidentally becomes so much part of your life, and then they kind of ruin your holiday. I can understand some of these callers saying, you know, that you meet somebody from your street when you're away on holidays. It kind of ruins your holiday because you're suddenly not on holiday.
You feel there's nowhere you can escape to.
Yeah.
Did you talk to him? Did you go over to him?
No, I didn't at all. Because it was, I just passed him on the street and I was thinking, who is that guy? And then it was days later that it finally hit me who he was.
Amazing. You'd escaped nowhere. Paul, thanks very much for coming in.
Thanks, Tom.
Best of luck with the next book you're finishing today. Thank you very much for sharing that with us.
That's okay.
We're privileged.